Hey everybody, it's Mike over here at Growtopia for stage 2. So now what the first thing we're going to do after we got our legs done is we're going to make the flooring of the bed, which is what you guys are seeing here. This is the floor of the bed. Now the floor of this bed is two 2x4s and two 2x10s that are 5 foot each. Straight cut, dead on, straight center. I keep saying that over and over again, but a lot of people just don't believe. Thing is how do you connect them, right? So that was the first thing I started thinking about, was how am I going to connect this wood together? I didn't want to turn it into another kitchen sink where I got glue and epoxy and shit. And then I thought, oh, sub base. What do we need as a sub base? A piece of plywood. Well, what do? I go to my carport that has plywood I've had in there for over fucking 5 years. Even though it is treated, it's on the bottom of it. It's not going to affect the plants at all because it's not going to be near it. But you know what it is a solid sub base. So I got, and I laugh about it because this was probably the cheapest plywood on the planet. This is pre-COVID plywood. That means that it was dirt cheap because it's treated. I don't know what size it is. We're going to take a measurement of it. I'm going to see if you guys could try to see it. I'm going to try to stick you guys in a good spot. Yeah, there we go. So we got the plywood sitting up on 2x4s for a reason. So that I don't screw into the tile floor again like I did before. So we're looking at 1/4 inch plywood. Quarter inch. Yep, quarter inch plywood. So it's a small piece. I don't really need a lot of it, right? So I'm looking at right now, it was perfect for what I needed. It's 22.5 inches by, let's say, 4 feet. So it's a perfect size for what I need as the sub base for all the planks to get screwed together. So I get it here. Grab our wood. I'm going to start putting our wood down. I'm going to start screwing it in. Now, of course, even with the sub base, you want everything to be even. So I got 2 10s. I'm going to grab 1 10 and put it over here. When I say by 10, it's 10 inches. 1 4 is 4 inches. It's the width of the plank of wood. That's all I'm talking about. All cut at 5 foot each. So starting with the outer section. Now you guys could have a piece of plywood on whatever size that you want. It doesn't matter. It can actually be cut to fit. This is just what I'm working with. So that's all I'm going down the road on. So put my 2x10. Then I got my 2x4. My knee that pops. My shoulder that doesn't work. Another 2x4 and another 2x10 right on top. Now we start playing the finger game of where stuff is. Now I'm not worried about where the plywood sits because we're screwing it in to keep it together. The plywood has nothing at all to do with the build of the structure. All it has to do is keep the floor section together. So I don't care if it's like, you know, 1/8 of an inch one way and 2 inches another way. I don't care as long as that everybody's all hunky-dory. Everybody's sitting on there so I can all screw them together. That's it. That's pretty close. Basically, all this is an easy, simple way to get all your wood together. Make sure they're all nice and straight. And if you cut them all the right way, they should all be dead on. Dead on both sides. Great job. Measure 5 times, cut only 300 times. So now we start throwing in our screws. The screws that I'm using are deck screws. They're Phillips heads. They're 8 by 2.5 inches. I got them from Brinkman. They're called Build Right. I needed screws quick the other night, and I bought 2 small boxes, and I laughed at myself. I said, well, you know, when am I going to need screws again? Apparently I had to go back out today to get more screws. But here's the next thing. Before you start screwing, you got to make sure that your support piece of lumber, such as a scrap piece of 2x4, is out of the way to screw down your ends. Because otherwise, if you start screwing, nothing's right. That's the only other thing is you got to look for is where is the end of the wood. And what's nice with these is you do not need to drill ahead of time. You can just screw and go. Yep, that's through the plywood. And it's hot. Close to the edge. You can always play with it too. Lumber's never always straight, but you try to make it as straight as possible. It's hard finding straight lumber from Home Depot. People look at you when you're folding the lumber at different angles and stuff, and they're looking at you like, what are you doing? I'm trying to get one that's straight. Why is that? It's because I need lumber to be straight for certain activities. Alright, so now we got one end screwed in. It's great. Now we can just go and screw down the rest of the end. And look how nice and neat that is. It's a little low over here, it's a little high, but that's fine. We could always fix that down the line. And not for nothing, but this is going to get covered in plastic after it gets silicone. So I silicone the cracks of all the lumber just in case there's any leakage at all. And then there's a plastic sheet that I'm going to be putting inside of this. So now, here's the next step. Before we get too far depth into talking about miscellaneous stuff that we haven't got to yet, as you start screwing your wood, you want to start pulling your wood together before you screw. So what the next thing I like to do, I like to find where my mystery chalk is, which is there, which is good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple screws. I'm going to just start them ahead of time in line with the other ones, because now I know where the plywood sits. Try not to drill into myself. I know it's a horrible way of doing this, but it does work. I'm doing this more or less for everybody else. I'm going to cut this video. I'm going to get into screwing all these boards together. And I'm going to do this one, and then I'm going to make the next one. And before the next step, then we'll tap back into another video. Alright, so obviously the one thing you want to do is make sure that your crack is as tight as it can. So there's a yes and a no to that. You want it tight, but you don't want it too tight because you need a little bit of expansion, right? So if you start noticing your wood starts to separate as it gets closer and closer to the other end, you need to pull it in. Now you can go down and screw the other end in, or you can just give it a little snugness. But luckily, the way that the crack on my wood is running right now, with the crack I'm talking about is the distance between the planks, is good. The first bed that I did that you guys are leaning against, I had a couple planks that were a little far away from each other, so I had to pull them a little tight to get the crack just right. If the crack is right, you can screw it tight. As long as you put it in the hole. Now what's nice with these screws is that they're not splitting the wood because they are deck screws. So I'm not going to go nutty and screw the shit out of this thing, but at least I got 2 in the front, I'm going to do 2 in the rear, and 1 line in the center, and that's it of screws. Anyway guys, this is Mike over at Growtopia. Keep watching for the rest of the build. There's a lot more to come. And it's really easy from here. It's all simple. Anybody can do this. You can do it by yourself. 2 people definitely helps when things start to get a little nutty when you're trying to connect different sections. But you could do this by yourself. Anyway, everybody, this is Mike over here at Growtopia. Like, subscribe, share it with your friends and family. I'm going to build 2 of these suckers before the next video. Later.